Welcome to the Biz Kids Podcast. I'm your host, JD Rabali, and this show is where young entrepreneurs, future leaders, and creative thinkers come, learn, grow, and get inspired. This podcast is powered by the Biz Kids Hub, our hands-on training and resource center dedicated to helping kids and teens launch real businesses, develop their confidence, and turn big ideas into action. Whether you're starting out or already making sales, we're here to give you the tools, the tips, the stories that bring business to life. Each week, you'll hear from successful entrepreneurs, industry experts, and even fellow biz kids who are making waves with their ventures. So buckle up because the business journey starts here. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Biz Kids Podcast. I'm your host, JD Rabali, and today we are visited with Taralyn. Taralyn has been a Biz Kid for a couple years now and has been selling her products, and I'll let her tell you about what she's doing. So Taralyn, give us your 60-second pitch of who you are and what you do.
Okay, hi, my name is Taralyn, and I do resin and candles. My business name is Taralyn's Treasures, and what I do is I do jewelry of resin. I do bracelets, earrings, necklaces, and for candles, I do all sorts of shapes and colors, and it's all handmade.
Handmade.
Yep.
Handmade. That's awesome. So are you an artist? Have you always been an artist? And is that how you got the bug to start doing this kind of stuff?
Yes. My mom calls me very creative. I make a lot of things with hair ties. I've made a rope with hair ties, so I'm very artsy and I like to figure out new things.
So where did you get the idea of starting to do the resin? Where did that come from? Was it something like a school project you had worked on, or did somebody introduce you to it? You're like, hey, this is pretty cool, and I think I can make money on this.
Well, on YouTube, I saw this channel called Let's Resin, and I started looking at it, and they had all these cool resin blocks and jewelry and stuff that they made, and I wanted to make more like them. And so whenever I started it, it was around Christmas time. It was before Christmas time, and that's whenever my grandma had passed. So with her funeral flowers, I took them and made them into necklaces for the family and ornaments. So
wow.
With resin, you can make all sorts of things with silicone molds.
So do you have any samples of your resin products?
Yes, I have the bracelet here.
Okay.
I have some earrings. And then with the resin, I make some necklaces. And I also make rock necklaces.
Very nice. Very nice. And now, to make a necklace or a pair of earrings, how much time does that take you to make one unit?
Well, resin is a clear liquid that activates and turns hard under UV light, and it normally has to sit for 10 minutes. It depends on how big the mold is. If the mold is, for example, as big as a circular Christmas ornament, then it might take more like 15 to 20 minutes.
Okay. And have you done Christmas ornaments?
Yes.
Okay. So what is your best seller to date? What's selling the most at a Biz Kids market? The necklaces?
Yes.
And where do you get your supplies? A lot of kids thinking that this idea is hey, I might want to start a business doing jewelry. How did you get the idea of even finding all the supplies to make these things?
Amazon. It has everything. So I have this chain roll, and I cut it up for the necklaces and piece it all together. So it's a long process to make the chain itself, but the resin just takes 10 minutes.
Okay, so you can actually get a lot made. So when you're getting ready for a Biz Kids market, how many necklaces and earrings do you generally try to have on your table and ready to sell for the event?
I normally try to have above 20 on the table.
Okay. And what is the average price of your necklaces and earrings?
Most of them are around $7 to $10 because of the process of time. And with the rocks, I actually take metal and wrap it around.
Oh, well, that looks very nice. And so what is the kind of in the future for you? Like, what product do you want to add to your line? Do you think that would be a good seller? Have you done? It sounds like you do a lot of YouTube research and on like products and seeing what works and what doesn't. What have you seen that's kind of the new trend?
Well, I've been wanting to make these resin bowls where it's kind of like an ocean look, and with white resin, you can use a blow hair dryer, and it will make the wave effect. So I've been wanting to make those.
Okay. And one thing I like to let the kids, kind of think through as they're going through a Biz Kids market is you really have to look at who is your audience. Who are you selling to? A lot of times when a young student is looking to start a business, they think, hey, products that they would want to buy, but not necessarily the people that are going to be walking through the show are going to be kids that want to buy kids products. So I think your jewelry makes a great representation of that. Is like you get a lot of moms that come through, you get a lot of grandmas that come through, and they look at your jewelry and they think, hey, this is something I could wear. This is something I could use as a gift. So did you kind of think of that when you were coming up with your product ideas of like, who is my market? Who am I actually trying to sell this product to?
Yes. It's mostly for girls, but I've also tried to make the rock necklaces also for boys, so that way it's kind of for both genders. And candles are also for both genders, so it's a bit nicer. I once tried plants, but I didn't get as much sold, so I decided to go back to resin.
Okay. And then you also had another business when you first started with the Biz Kids. Tell us a little bit about that business and how it worked.
So it was also called Taralyn's Treasures, and there was this cylinder disc that was made out of glass and a metal disc at the bottom, and I would take nail polish or paint and paint designs onto the metal one and hot glue the glass disc on top, so that way it's kind of like a pendant necklace.
And did those sell good?
Yes, it was my first business, and that day I made about $500, I think. So
Okay.
I was
So
really excited.
are you still doing that product?
No, I've decided to go on to resin. Resin is kind of like it, but it's not the same.
Okay. And how are you doing on your total sales for um, your total sales for your products now?
In total, I've been making a lot more than I used to. There's been a lot more business lately with the Biz Kids, and yeah, the candles have definitely helped because I used to just do resin, but I think I've made about 100 more based on candles.
And being in Florida, so we're based in Florida and we get a lot of hot weather. Are you having problems with keeping the candles from melting? Even in just the storing process, have you put them in your garage and like came back and go, oh no, they're all melted?
Yes, that's what I was afraid of, so I actually store them in my room in a storage container, so that way they're hitting more air condition than heat.
Yeah, and that's a good thing to think about. A lot of kids that are trying to start their market, you have to think about. A lot of times these are outdoors. We do have some indoor markets as well, but you have to look at your product and is it going to hold up when there's a lot of heat? And so a lot of products like even ice, if you have ice that you're using, can melt really quickly if you don't have the proper coolers. You have to look at candles, soap, anything like that that's going to fall or melt or be affected by the weather out there. What is some of the feedback that you've gotten from your customers about your products? Did they tell you that they are giving them as gifts, or are they buying them for themselves?
A lot of time they're buying it as gifts, and they are really surprised of how good it looks, and they ask what it's made of, and I say resin, and they don't really know what that is, so I have to explain it, but they are overall amazed, and they like the flowers in the necklaces and bracelets.
Awesome. And then what product do you have any other new idea for a product for next season?
Not really. I'm thinking of making more resin, but honestly, there hasn't been any new products.
And so are you selling them as individual pieces, or do you sell them like as a package? It's like, can I buy, if I wanted to get a gift for somebody, can I get a necklace and a set of earrings that match? Or are they just one set of earrings and one necklace?
Well, I don't really sell them as a pack. I sell them individually. So,
So it may be something to look at if you can raise your prices of your product by offering it as a package deal, and maybe having a matching set of earrings, a necklace, and maybe even a bracelet, and you sell it at a higher price because now it's all packaged together. And then if you even have a little gift bag, because if people are buying it as a gift, now they have a bag to give it, and it's all the three pieces are together. And instead of selling it for $7 to $10 a piece, now you're selling a package for $25 or $30, and they have a gift ready to go. So
yes, I normally have gift bags, and I would ask if they want me to put it in. And specifically with the candles, I'll put them in. Something else I have to think of about the candles is what they melt on. For example, this, I've melted it, and I have these glass bottoms that go on them so that way they don't just melt onto the counter.
And so who helps you to make all your products? Do you make it yourself, or does your mom or dad help? When which parent helps you the most?
Mom, because she normally looks on Amazon for what things I need and asks me if I want it or not, and helps me sometimes with the chains because they're very difficult.
Awesome. And you came to a Biz Kids field trip day where we did some jewelry training. Did you learn any tips or tricks at the jewelry class that kind of helped you out, or did you kind of already know the process because you're already building your own jewelry?
I knew a lot of the process, but I don't use the clear string, elasticy string for the bracelets. I use chains, so I didn't really remember that there was a glue that you can use so that way the ends don't stick up. It's really nice.
Yeah, we do a lot of Biz Kids field trip days as well, so the kids can actually get into businesses and see how they do things. And we had a class where they taught a jewelry making class that kind of gave us the basics of how to do your knots for when you're tying jewelry and stuff, and like with the string. So there's a lot of different elements that you can learn along the way. If you want to get your kids involved with the Biz Kids, you can follow us at the bizkidsusa.org and find out about all our programs. We have markets, field trips. We have the Biz Kids Hub, which is our training center, and we kind of talk to kids through their business on what's working and what doesn't work. And the whole process through this is about learning what's working and what's not working and celebrating the failures along the way. Sometimes you do a show and you're not getting the sales, but that kind of is your experience to say, okay, what do I need to change? What do I need to do different? And for the next time, have you had a show that you didn't do so well and you're like, I need to change things up?
Yes, specifically with the plants. The plants? I did not get like as much customers as I was thinking of, and I didn't sell as much as I wanted to. So I decided to go back to something else other than plants because they were not working with me.
And that's a lesson you learned. You see what the market's doing. You have to kind of look at the clientele that's there, and are these people willing to buy plants, or do they want to carry a plant? A lot of times it comes to when we're doing community markets, a lot of people just don't want to carry bigger things around all day, and so sometimes having jewelry to buy or a snack to eat is a lot easier than trying to carry a plant and worry about that while they're going through an event. So I think that you learned some great lessons. Well, thank you for being part of Biz Kids. Thank you for sharing your products with us. Did you have any more examples you wanted to show us?
Yes, I love bears. Specifically for Valentine's Day, I had this one. It looks like roses all over the bear. Oh.
Nice. Well, awesome. Well, thanks again for being here, and we will see you at the next Biz Kids Market. And if you want to get your kids involved, we're happy to get them started in business and entrepreneurship. And thanks a lot, Taralyn. We'll see you next time on the Biz Kids Podcast.